Good afternoon, my name is Kang Lin, and I am here to explain the question of how are the limitations of students' rights in an illustration of the First Amendment. And through extensive research, I came to the point that because of the policies that are enacted in schools, the First Amendment of students are limited to what they can convey. Now, before I get into the main debate between why students' rights are limited and the school's perspective, we must take a look at the First Amendment. Now, U.S. citizens have the five freedoms of the First Amendment: the freedom of speech, press, petition, religion, and assembly. Congress cannot take away these rights. Congress cannot take away or revoke any of U.S. citizen rights. So how does this apply? So how does the First Amendment apply to the students? Well, students actually still retain their First Amendments throughout school campus. Now, however, schools are trying to. However, through school policy, they're being limited. So let's take a look at an infamous case, Tinker v. Des Moines. This all happened when two students, presumably the Tinker siblings, wore black armbands to protest against the Vietnam War and cause a truce. And the principal suspended them because they believed that there would be a disruption to the class and the whole school environment. The Supreme Court noted that, the Supreme Court ruled that students still had their First Amendment rights retained and that they did not violate the First Amendment. Now, after this court case, this became a influential court case because it's used as a validity subject for all future cases, such as the Board of Education versus PICO. Now, with the Board of Education versus PICO, one of the schools decided to remove books that were deemed inappropriate because they would be influential to the wrong source of thought. The Supreme Court rejected the school's decision to ban these books because students have the right to receive ideas, and it's a necessary factor for their main five freedoms. Now, since students' rights are limited, we have to know why schools have to limit them. And they can be attributed to the time, place, and manner where any state or federal level government and schools can place a limit on what exactly they can talk about. Mainly such as symbolic speech. So if there's no specific restriction like burning the flag, then if there's no specific restriction on burning the flag, like if people do it on like one specific section that they're not supposed to do it, then they will be definitely arrested or in schools suspended. Now let's take a look at some cases that define the whole concept of schools' perspectives, such as Hazelwood versus Kuhlmeier. The students made a newspaper article that was about abortion, and the school caught a hold of it and refused to publish it. The Supreme Court denied or rejected the students saying that they were violated of their First Amendment rights because schools or school officials have the right to block off anything that deemed inappropriate or a danger to the cause. Another case was Morse versus Frederick, where outside someone showed a sign of bong hits for Jesus, and this is a bong, by the way. Now, the reason that the student was suspended by holding this sign because it showed elements of illegal drug promotion, and in their policy, they didn't like talking about drugs or they didn't like addressing about the whole drug problem, and that would cause a level 4 infraction. And let's not forget about the internet, because right now we have all this social media, and compared to the on-campus verbal speech that people have, they can be easily controlled by staff. But with online, it's impossible because anyone could type about it or delete it unless someone saves it. But generally speaking, no one is going to save. There's a specific kind of speech that will be violating. It will automatically be deleted as a result. And that's why schools have to make policies that meet the standards with internet speech along with regular speech. In the end, based off of what I learned about, schools should still limit their aspects of expressions, but like it's to a certain point that they're not deemed inappropriate to them or harmful to society at all. But the question is, how much or little can be limited though? Thank you, and what questions do you have?
Two questions I have for you. First up, how valid and reliable are the sources that you use, and how do you know?
Well, with the court cases like Hazelwood versus Kuhlmeier, they all used a Pacer-Raven test, and they were deemed valid because they weren't really biased, and this was all to the Supreme Court's opinion.
And next question, if you had more time, what additional research would you conduct related to this issue?
I would consider researching more about the other aspects of the First Amendment freedoms because, yeah, sure, religion, speech, and the press are very important, but you also have assembly and petition. Those also contribute to the factors of students' rights at school.
You are done.